Hello everybody, this is Fronito Bob here and welcome to another NASCAR race review, and today we're going to be reviewing the Alabama 500 2017 and the last 5 races that happened as well, sort of. So, the last time that I did a race review was for Darlington, and I haven't done a race review since, mainly because, well, I forgot and haven't really been motivated to do so. So, I guess actually, when was the last time? No, I did the race review for Richmond, didn't I? I didn't. I don't know. I don't think I ever reviewed Richmond, but at least Kyle Larson won Richmond. If I did do a race review, then yeah. If I didn't do a race review, then wow, I guess. Yeah, so we move on to Chicagoland, which is the first round of the chase, or the playoffs that they have the first race of the playoffs. Chicagoland was boring. Truex won. Moving on. New Hampshire, pretty much the same points can moved on to this race. Kyle Busch won New Hampshire. Should have been Matt Kenseth. Moving on. Oh yeah, by the way, Chicagoland should have been Chase Elliott. New Hampshire should have been Matt Kenseth. Moving on. Alright, now we move on to Dover for the AAA 400, I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, I probably am. Yeah, Dover was pretty boring for the most part, but my heart was beating pretty heavily near the end of that race at Dover. Like, Chase Elliott was leading for so many laps, and I was excited for Chase Elliott leading the race. And then he had worse tires than Kyle Busch, and Kyle Busch wound up winning the Dover race for the millionth time this season. Moving on, yeah, I don't know, I mean, well, maybe not moving on, but yeah, I was really hoping for Chase Elliott to win in Dover after he didn't win Chicagoland. In fact, he didn't even come close to winning Chicagoland. I felt like Chase Elliott had a good chance at Chicagoland, but I guess not, but anyways, moving on from that, next up we go to Charlotte. I was hoping for Clint Bowyer to win. Clint Bowyer didn't even lead a single lap. Instead, it was yet another Truex day. Moving on. Now I move on to the Alabama 500. Yeah. Alabama 500. Again, pretty boring race at the beginning, but as we got into stage 3, that's when things got exciting and interesting. Like, we had many crashes, quite a few red flags. Well, a few red flags, I guess. Everyone was hyping up Dale Jr. to be the winner of this race, and whilst Dale Jr. did do well in this race, and he finished well, Keselowski won. I'm sorry, but I really don't like Keselowski too much. Like, I don't dislike Keselowski, I just don't really have a real reason to like Keselowski. Like, I just think, my daddy dislikes Keselowski, though, because, daddy likes to say that Keselowski can be a jerk, and, I don't blame you if you think that. I mean, some people out there don't like Brad Keselowski, and, I don't really dislike you if you don't like Brad Keselowski. I mean, like, I never really found a reason to really like Brad Keselowski. In fact, every time Brad Keselowski won a race, I was always like, Brad Keselowski won a race. Yay, everyone's so surprised. I don't know, I mean, I guess Keselowski can go on and win a second championship eventually, but I'm not predicting it for the future. I mean, Keselowski, I mean, I won't be disgusted when Keselowski wins a championship, but I won't be that excited either. What else? Let's see, Daniel Suarez, I was hoping that he would win this race. Suarez, he was up there in the front for a while, and then he messed up. Yeah. Daniel Suarez, he was leading nicely, then he tried to cut down on Chase Elliott, took himself out, along with a few other cars, along with Chase Elliott and somebody else, I don't remember who they are, and yeah, Suarez, he was up there, and he, screwed up. Don't you worry, Daniel Suarez is going to get his first win. And if Daniel Suarez gets his first win somewhere, I have a feeling it's going to be a restricted plate track. Because Daniel Suarez, he was leading like 2 or 3 laps in the Coke 0400. So I feel that Daniel Suarez's best chances of getting his... That makes 0 sense. Like, his best track of possibly getting his first win, Daniel Suarez, is most likely going to be a restricted plate track. Like, it could be... Who knows, maybe he'll surprise the world and win the Daytona 500 next year in his second Daytona 500 start. That could be interesting, to say the least. We'll see what happens when the time comes. And maybe Suarez could also win on a road course, maybe Watkins Glen, because as we know, Suarez won a stage in the Cheez-It 355. I'm aware that's now called the I Love New York 355, but I prefer to call it the Cheez-It 355 because, you know, Cheez-It, it sounds better. Like, I guess Cheez-It wasn't really too interested in sponsoring the race of Watkins Glen anymore, so now I Love New York came and sponsored the race, which is not a bad thing, but I preferred when Cheez-It sponsored the Watkins Glen race, so I think I'll continue to call it the Cheez-It 355, just because. That's, of course, 10,000 sausage kids to say, oh, but it's not the Cheez-It 355, it's the I Love New York 355, and you get the point. Yeah, so Suarez, his best chance of getting a first win is either at a restricted play track or maybe a road course, maybe Watkins Glen more likely. I mean, Suarez, he didn't do too well at Sonoma, but then again, Sonoma is a pretty tough track on new drivers, and Suarez's race at Sonoma this year was his first at Sonoma, so, you know, you can't expect a driver to get their first win at a track that they've never been at, unless they have, unless the track is easy, but Sonoma is one of those harder tracks that are a bit harder to master, but then again, it's a road course, and you're driving a 2-ton stock car around the track with like 750 horsepower, 900 horsepower, something like that. Which is a really tough challenge to drive on road courses. Now, if it was a Formula 1 car or a GT car, that'd be a different story, because they would actually be pretty easy to drive, especially with power steering. I mean, we have power steering. I mean, yeah, they do have power steering in the stock cars, but, you know, power steering makes things so easy these days. Like, you can just drive the car around the track, and when the car will just do whatever it wants to do. Like, I really don't know why we have power steering. I guess it's supposed to make driving the car easier, which feels kind of stupid, and I don't know. I feel like they should just get rid of power steering and, you know, and have the driver have to be as fit as possible to steer the car and stuff. And I don't know. I don't know about power steering. I'll say that. But yeah. Anyway, so that's Suarez. Other than that, not really much to talk about regards to the Alabama 500. So overall, it was Stage 3 was the most exciting part of the race, but Stage 1 and 2, you know, there was only so many laps where things were happening. But other than that, I could play some Train Simulator during this race and not miss a thing. I did miss a few things, but nothing too vital in the race, I guess. Like, there was some interesting pit strategy, I suppose, but again, at the same time, not really anything too vital to the race. But you can correct me if I'm wrong. Who knows, maybe I missed something very vital that led to Brett Keselowski winning this race or something like that. Or Suarez making one. Nah, it was all on Suarez with that mistake. And like, at first I thought it was Chase Elliott who was trying to go through a non-existent hole, but actually no, it was Suarez who came down to Chase Elliott and spun himself out. Yeah, so basically it was Suarez's mistake. Well, he's still learning. And even though he's won an Xfinity Series championship, he's still learning some of the rules and regulations of the... well, I would say rules and regulations. More so, the do's and don'ts of racing in the Cup Series. There we go. That's a much better way to put it. Other than that, not really much to talk about regards to these last 5 races. But at least now I've all caught up to them. Now we're on to Kansas, and I'm not expecting much... Maybe I just won't do Kansas and just say that. Like whenever we have these races where the leader pulls out to a very extensive lead and nothing happens in the race, I think what I'll do is that I'll just skip the race review, and then when I get around to reviewing the next race that's actually exciting, I'll just tell my thoughts on the previous race. Basically, you know, it's the win of the race. This guy should have won it, but that guy didn't win it because sausage reasons, and then move on. But other than that, that's all I have to talk about for this video. If there's anything else that I missed or you want me to talk about, just leave it in the comment section down below. Other than that, yeah, I'm kind of predicting Truex to win at Kansas, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised anymore if Truex did win. I just remember something else that I was supposed to talk about in this video. Hooray! I forgot something to talk about, but yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Truex did win in Kansas. I want to talk about with the domination of Toyota, but I think I'll actually save that for a video on its own, unless of course I forget to do it, in which case I might include it in next week's review. But that's it for this video. I shall see you in the next one.